Hello, and it's come round to that time of the month when we bring you an all-new local history programme. I'm Dave Hodgson, and this is KLTV. We're at a place called Bullecourt Museum. It's got a lot of history. You might not have heard of it, but my goodness you will when you've heard what we've got to say today and what we've got to show you, because we're only showing you an absolute fraction of what this museum has. John Garside's the man who organises it. Now John, I call it Bullecourt Museum, but it's got a long history, hasn't it, this place?
Oh, yes, the ex-territorial barracks for the 1st and 2nd 7th Duke of Wellington's Regiment Territorial Army. It was formed in 1911 when the territorials became a unit, and they came here in 1911. They went through two world wars, and they ended here in about 1960 when the army disbanded this area and went down to Huddersfield to join with the 5th Regiment, 5th Battalion, sorry.
Yeah. So this is what they would call a drill hall.
That's right. Yeah, it's a drill hall. Yeah, it's the old territorial barracks drill hall. Everybody, even on the bus ticket, says drill hall. So if you were coming from Huddersfield and you had to report here, you'd ask the conductor where do I get off at the drill hall. So,
what made you decide this building's empty now? I know I'll turn it into a museum. What was the process?
Well, it was a case of we were looking for somewhere to move out, and this was on the market at the time, and it was an ideal place, being the actual battalion headquarters. So we thought, well, what I've got and what I can collect, we'll put in two, and the pair of us made a go of it, and we've been here 18 years.
My goodness. And your opening times, let's let everybody know.
2 till 4, Saturdays and Sundays.
2 till 4, Saturday and Sundays. School parties by arrangement?
By arrangement, yeah. And anybody who's a group lot can come anyway. We've had quite
excellent. Groups of people in.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let you know how to book here. You don't have to on a Saturday and Sunday, but if you've got a big group, it's better just to make sure that there's room. So the number will appear at the end of the programme and the address for how to get in touch with John. John, in the meantime, we've got some wonderful displays here. It's only a bit of what you got that people are going to see. They'll have to come to see a lot of the very good stuff that you've got here, but you've got it on a sort of a timeline, haven't you? What's this that we have here?
Well, this is the actual Battle of Waterloo period, and the items are 99% genuine, what we put in. We do have odd bits which are modern, but only to make the job up for, like the colourful officer there of the cuirassier.
Yeah.
But in general, this section is the Waterloo section. This section at the back end here is Crimea. So we put it being on a small section, we put the Crimea section there and the Waterloo section next to it. So you start at the Battle of Waterloo and you're following the history of the regiment round.
Right the way round. John, we've moved on to the Boer War now, and there's a fascinating collection of memorabilia here. How do you get your hands on it? You know, is it difficult to find, and is it expensive to buy?
It's expensive for a start, but in the years that I've been collecting, it's set off at nothing, and now it's gone high prices. But in general, it wasn't hard to get hold of 50 years ago, but now
everybody's after it.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the most odd thing here is a wooden flute. What on earth's the story behind that?
Well, a wooden flute is part of the fife and drum.
Fife and drum, I should have thought of that.
All the regimental bands, they all had. A gentleman brought it in, he brought a sword in, and he wanted to lend it to us, but I says, well, we can't keep it, we don't want it particular, but he says, well, you can keep the flute, so he says, I think it's Boer War period. So I took his,
Great.
I mean, not being a musician, I don't know much about the job. So
I notice now, though, that when it comes to the Boer War, rifles are starting to appear in the memorabilia rather than swords, aren't they?
Well, the Boers were getting rifles off anybody they could. Austrians would supply them, anybody. The Belgians, the French, anybody would supply, because they were anti-British.
Yeah.
So they bought German Mausers and Austrian Steyrs and anything else that they could get their hands on. If I had bullets, it didn't matter.
I was going to say, it'd be a bit difficult for ordnance, wouldn't it, if they're all different sizes and take different shells.
Mauser seemed to be the big outfit, like who was supplying them, and the Germans were a bit anti-British, and the Dutch were Boers anyway. So They were the big fence, and
Yeah.
whoever had money can buy guns.
And yet nobody seemed to have learned the lesson
No.
that a bright red uniform
No,
was
no.
something you shouldn't really wear on a battlefield
No,
anymore.
that's it. The time had come when they had to change it. It started in the India Mutiny with the khaki coming in. But by 1900, 1899, 1900, the khaki uniform was in anyway. So, but the red was still kept as parade uniforms.
Right, okay.
So,
And of course this is the famous one where you've got Lady Smith, haven't you,
that's right.
Mafeking?
Yeah, that's right. The three sieges: Ladysmith, Kimberley, and Mafeking. Mafeking was the longest siege, 217 days. The other two were smaller, but they were still active, you know. So.
Indeed. So there you've got a bit on that, but what you need to do is come and see and read and look. That'll help you a lot. We're going to move on now to the next period. We've moved on and we're now in the 20th century, and I'm beginning to see tin helmets that I recognise from both sides. So this has got to be the First World War, hasn't it, John?
Yeah, this is about 1916. The first two years of the war, 14 and 15, are in the case beyond that way, behind us. This is 1916, 17 and 18. German and British rifles, trench periscope, helmets, barbed wire, and everything else, whatever else goes with it.
Want to mention the barbed wire because it's not barbed wire like I seem to know it
No.
in the countryside, is it?
It's theatrical barbed wire, this. The wire's wire and the barbs are plastic. But
Right.
it's easier to handle than the proper stuff.
I can imagine that, but of course the German barbed wire was much more, shall we say, much more difficult to
Yeah.
get through than the British,
It
wasn't
was
it?
a very fierce wire, was the German. Whereas we have one a spike every 6 inches, they'd one every inch. So
By heck.
you've
You'd,
got caught
you'd have
on the
a bit of trouble with torn trousers, wouldn't you? Let alone anything else.
there's nothing left of them.
I can imagine. Now, and you've got this wonderful twirly piece of ironwork, and that must have something to do with it.
Well, it's
I
a
could
picket.
think.
It's a picket that you screw into the ground by putting a piece of wood through the second hole down
Yeah,
and put it into the ground and just twist it round. It drills itself like an
Drills-
ogre
yeah.
into the ground, and
Yeah.
then you run your barbed wire through the holes.
through the loops. Hey,
Yeah.
somebody thought that out really well,
Oh, yeah.
didn't
Clever,
they?
isn't it? Yeah, very
Yeah,
clever, yeah.
yeah, but I
Something,
wonder. Sorry,
something and nothing, but it's there.
but it
isn't
works
Yeah,
well.
Yeah.
And other things that I can recognise. You've a German hand grenade.
Yeah, German stick grenade, yeah.
Yeah, totally different to our Mills bomb.
That's
isn't it?
right, yeah, that's a blast bomb, is that?
Yeah.
It's into fragmentation bomb, it's a blast. When it explodes, the concussion will kill you. And the
Right.
British Mills bomb is a round one, a fragmentation, which bits come off and
Yeah,
everybody gets a
throw
share.
shrapnel.
That's
yeah.
right, you've got it, yeah.
Yeah. Do you know, I don't think I could even begin to imagine what it must have been like, because more than half your life was spent like a badger, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, underground, like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, well, people think you were fighting every day, but it might be 6 months between one battle and the next,
Yeah.
or one action and the next. Then all of a sudden they get a night attack or something
Yeah,
else like that.
and all hell would break
Yeah,
loose.
that's right,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's where the term feverish activity followed by feverish inactivity
Yeah,
comes
I
from.
can
isn't
believe
it?
that, yes, yeah, yeah.
Good term, I think, don't you? We're going to move on now to the Second World War, which of course is still within living memory, but only just. We're on the Second World War now, aren't we? And instantly I can see things that I remember as a young lad myself, like the gas masks and the tin hats and the uniforms.
That's right, yeah, that was the stuff that 1939 brought it all back to everybody who'd been in the First World War, and more or less the same, only better equipment. And out of date now by a long shot, but in general, everything in the case is of the period, 1939 to 45. The plates are obviously only colour plates to add a bit of contrast to
Yep.
the actual
Yep.
layout. In the background you can see a photograph of King George V in Buckingham Palace Yard, and he's presenting Ernest Sykes of the
Is a local lad?
yeah, I believe so, yes, and he won the Victoria Cross at Arras in 1917,
Yeah.
and we have a copy of the Victoria Cross, but it's that blended and you can't see it.
Yeah, because a lot of the lads that fought in the First World War also fought in the Second, didn't they?
That's correct, yeah. A lot of them, if they were that really too old to fight, they were in the Home Guard
Yeah.
as sergeants and that, and they were teaching the young lads again the basic drills of the military.
Yeah, and one thing that catches my eye here really is, I don't know, and I might be miles off, but Is that a spade in a bag?
Yeah, it's an entrenching tool. You can see the wooden part there.
Yeah.
And the bag holds an entrenching piece, like a digging a shovel at one end and a pick at the
Yeah.
other.
So you just put it together a bit like Meccano.
That's right, it just slides on. And also it has a bayonet fitting on one end, and you can use it for probing for mines.
Very good multi-purpose tool, that,
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
John, it's been absolutely fabulous, but this is only a pinprick of what you've got, isn't it, really?
That's correct, yes. Yeah, we've got a lot more to see when you do come here to see it, like, you know, so we've been moving around, so bit by bit we're jumping all the time.
Yeah, yeah. British Legion, you've got quite a good bit of stuff from the British Legion. If anybody's still in there wants to come and see memorabilia.
Oh, yeah, that's correct, yeah. Well, all groups are welcome.
Yeah, yeah.
School groups, anybody.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Long-
So, what we're going to do now is we're going to give you the telephone numbers and everything that you need to know to get in touch. But don't forget, it's a come all ye, 2 till 4, Saturday and Sunday, and you don't need to book in advance. But if you've got a group, you do, and particularly for children and schools, then they are most welcome, and there's all sorts of little adventures they can do. Anyway, I'll be leaving you now. We'll have another programme in another month, but then you can keep watching that. That's the benefit of it being on our form of broadcasting, okay? So, John, let's just have a wander over here because there's the most interesting bit of stuff.